Dear Bhagavan, what is consciousness, Bhagavan?
What is there is only consciousness, but consciousness has several levels to it. When I say that all that is there is only consciousness, it does not refer to your consciousness. There is a basic form of consciousness which is nothing but intelligence. In India, we call that mahat. This mahat or basic consciousness becomes all that is. That is the universe, the galaxies, the stars, the plants, the trees, animals, and you and me. This consciousness is the seer, is the seeing, is the seen. You could also say it is the observer. It is the act of observing. It is the observed. And in fact, the observer and the observed are one and the same.
Bhagavan, could you please clarify the teaching? Spirituality is based on Kundalini.
Your spiritual conditioning or condition depends on your brain and your heart. The brain is neuroplastic in nature. If the brain changes, your perceptions change. If your perceptions change, your brain changes. If we must make you grow spiritually, we must change your brain. The chakras are like switches for the brain. Kundalini is awakened and brought into a chakra. A particular part of the brain changes. Based on that, your experiences change. For example, if your Anahata chakra is activated, then your experiences will be completely Christian in nature. If your Vishuddhi chakra is activated, then that part of the brain is activated whereby your experiences are Islamic in nature. If your Agneya chakra is activated, that part of the brain is activated whereby your experiences are Buddhist in nature. Similarly, if your crown chakra is activated, your experiences are Hindu in nature. All these correspondingly change the heart also. The physical heart changes. All this is done by Kundalini. That is why we cannot separate Kundalini from spiritual growth.
Bhagavan, would you please explain the teaching staying with the what is?
When we say you are awakened, what we mean is you stay with the what is without effort. If you stay with the what is with effort, that is not awakening. This you can do only if the brain changes. Since the mind is constantly interfering, you cannot stay with the what is without effort. When you get awakened, the brain so changes that your mind is declutched all the time. Since the mind is declutched, you would be able to stay with the what is without effort. It must happen naturally, like breathing. Otherwise, it would be staying with the what is with effort. That would give you some clarity, but otherwise it is of no use.
Bhagavan, would you please tell us how awakening influences one's financial situation, health condition and relationships, Bhagavan?
We are all controlled by a program. The program consists of what happened in your past lives, what happened at the moment of conception, what happened while you were in the womb, the actual delivery, whether it was a natural delivery or forceps were used or it was a cesarean delivery, then the first 6 hours, whether you were touched or not, or whether you were put in an incubator, then the first 6 years. This constitutes the program. This controls your life. It controls your finances, your health, your relationships, and everything in life. The program has got positive aspects as well as negative aspects. When you get awakened, it switches off the negative aspects. Because of that, you become free of your financial problems, you have more success in life, your health improves, your relationship improves, everything starts improving. For example, if you're having financial problems, you develop wealth consciousness, and once you develop wealth consciousness, wealth comes to you.
Bhagavan, what does the level of awakening mean? What changes in a being as the level of awakening increases, Bhagavan?
When we talk of the level of awakening, we are talking about the amount of change that has happened in the brain. When awakening happens by a change in the brain, we call that awakening 1. After that, If you are able to stay with the what is without effort because you are awakened, we call that level 2 awakening. When this happens for more than 49 minutes, we call that level 3 awakening. Once this happens for more than 49 minutes, the heart begins to change. We call that level 4 awakening. Then what happens is, staying with the what is without effort happens all the 24 hours. We call that level 5 awakening. We also use the terms fully awakened or enlightened. Thereafter begins God realization. The number that we give you indicates the amount of brain change.
Bhagwan, what is the difference between the level of consciousness and the level of awakening, Bhagwan?
When you are awakened and you look at a tree, you do not feel separated from the tree. We call that the level of awakening. Depending on a higher level of awakening, you become the tree itself. Consciousness, on the other hand, indicates how bright and how clear the tree is to you. You are still there, and there is a separation between you and the tree, but the tree is bright and clear. That is a higher level of consciousness. But at a higher level of awakening, you and the tree are not separate. You, the observer, become the observed, that is the tree. That is the difference.
Bhagwan, what does it mean when you say practice the teachings, Bhagwan?
When we say practice the teachings, it does not mean you actually practice it. The teachings must become real to you. For example, we say stay with the what is without effort. That should happen to you. You cannot practice it. We also say you must experience unconditional love. That cannot be practiced. It has to happen to you. All these teachings must become real to you. You must live the teachings. But for reasons of convenience, we say practice the teachings.
Dear Bhagwan, how can the divine become personal, alive, walking and talking with me, Bhagwan? What can I do for it, Bhagwan?
That process we would be releasing to you. You could follow that in your own home. The divine would become physical in your own home. The divine would walk and talk with you. You could talk about your problems to the divine, be it a financial problem or a health problem or a relationship problem or any other kind of problem. The divine would immediately solve it for you. The divine becomes your friend. You could ask for awakening and you would get awakened. You could ask for transformation and you would be transformed. And as you converse with your friend and come to know him, you become God realized. Because it is God who is walking and talking with you. We call this the short way. What I spoke earlier is the long way. Staying with the what is without effort for 49 minutes, waiting for the heart to be transformed, then extending it, all that is the long way. But once the divine has become physical to you, all that is over in no time. You would no more feel alone or friendless in the world. You would be able to face any problem. You have the Lord of the universe with you. What more do you want?
Dear Bhagwan, would you please clarify the terms mind, ego, self, authentic self, inauthentic self, conscious mind and unconscious mind, Bhagwan?
The mind is the flow of thought from the past through the present into the future. The self is the sense of separation we have. When you become awakened, fully awakened, the self goes away. The ego is the psychological self which plays the 6 games, like I am right, you are wrong, dominating or refusing to be dominated. All these games are played by the ego. Very often we find the inauthentic self is what is at play. Very often we find what is playing is the inauthentic self. Like for example, someone comes home whom you do not like, but you say nice sweet things and welcome the person. That is the inauthentic self. The authentic self is, it says I do not like the person. That is the authentic self. But talking sweet and welcoming the person is the inauthentic self. If you observe very closely, you would find that very often what is active is the inauthentic self. Whether relating to your friends or colleagues or even with your family members, very often the inauthentic self is at play. If you observe your authentic self, then things will begin to change. You should not control your inauthentic self. Then you would be in sure trouble. But merely be aware of what is going on inside. That is your authentic self. If you do not like your boss, you should not tell your boss, "Boss, I do not like you." You must say sweet things. Be inauthentic. But be aware as to what is really going on inside. But if you are awakened, you can be fully authentic. If you are not awakened and you try to be authentic, you would surely be in trouble.
Dear Lord, the Oneness Village is being designed in Hungary. We have the land, the main architect. Could you please tell us why is it important for a country to have an awakened Oneness Village, Bhagwan?
If you have a Oneness Village and you have all awakened people living there, then this group of people would affect the consciousness of the people of Hungary. The level of consciousness of the Hungarian people would start going up. As conscious levels go up, problems start coming down. Problems arise from lower levels of consciousness. Lower levels of consciousness which created the problems cannot solve it. Therefore, consciousness levels have to go up. Then all problems like economic problems, political problems, educational problems, varieties of problems would naturally start disappearing. That is why it's important that a group of awakened people live together in a village. If there is one awakened person, the power is 1. If there are 2 people, the power is 4. If there are 3 people, the power is 9. The power is to the square of the number. Therefore, if a sufficiently large number of people live together in a village, the power would be so much that all problems in Hungary would start disappearing. Not only that, you would start influencing neighboring countries, which would mean the golden age would be there.